Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it.
Welcome into a special episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. We're pleased to be joined today by President of Soccer for Houston Dynamo FC, Pat Onstad. Pat, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. I know it's been a while since we talked to you before the off season got going. A lot of changes for you guys in that time frame. So a lot to catch up on. First thing we wanted to hit on with you, Griffin Dorsey. Right before the season, you make that.
We're going right there first, huh?
Well,
that's the first thing we're going to hit on.
The people want us to ask questions.
Not the guy that's got 7 points and
we'll get to
games.
him. Don't worry, we'll get to him.
Okay, just checking.
Griffin Dorsey, right before the season, you make the move. I know Ben talked about, a change, and they had to change things up, moving Dwayne Holmes to right back. But can you just kind of walk us through that move and how it came about?
Yeah, well, it came about by, Orlando had reached out earlier and made a ridiculously low offer. We're like, absolutely not interested. What I would say is Griffin Dorsey, and I don't think there's a guy in the building that would say he wasn't committed to our club. Great in the community, wonderful human being, great pro. Did really well for us. I would say we were at a stage where he's coming out of contract at the end of the year. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to meet what we thought was, where he probably would want to get to in salary. Now, we didn't go down that road. So in all transparency, we didn't go down that road with his agent. But once they kind of reached a number, it was $1 million essentially for him. And we also knew that Orlando was willing to extend his contract and give him a sizable bump. At that stage, I think it would be a little unfair. I think for us as a business, if he walked for free, it wouldn't be great for us. But I think even more so for Griffin, I thought he deserved the opportunity to go earn a lot more money at another club that we weren't prepared to make that offer at this stage. And, I think for him, that's the right thing to do to a guy that's put a lot into this community and this club. So. That's kind of how it came about. I don't think it was something that any of us, certainly you can speak for Ben, he wasn't happy about it. I don't think we were happy about the timing of it. Stinks. And certainly he's a guy that we miss in our locker room and in our community. So, it was a tough one. It wasn't an easy decision.
And let's talk about one of the replacements for Dorsey. You guys brought back Ibrahim Aliou. He had some controversy as first did, maybe not as productive in front of goal as some people would have liked to see. Now you're bringing him back in more of a wingback role where you can really show his engine. Could you guys kind of talk about how his return came to be?
Yeah, I mean, the irony is when we switched kind of in the preseason, was to start working through trying to get our top attacking players in the field, how we felt we could do that. As soon as we got to the wingback position, Asher Mendelson, our technical director, and I looked at each other and said, Ibra would actually be the perfect fit for this. He's good. He's responsible defensively. It takes a little pressure off of him being in goal scoring opportunities, but more of a crosser and provider as a wide guy, especially if he's on the right. And I think some of the things that he did well was staying wide and keeping possession and being able to get up higher up the field, and obviously a defensive responsibility. But Ben had to get there on his own. So we kind of let Ben figure that out in, a couple of weeks. He says, I think we could use some more depth to push Dwayne and, and also kind of relieve, he could play in the left as well, relieve Lawrence and Ollie. We don't have a ton of depth in those positions now that we're kind of committed to this wingback idea. So I reached out to Columbus and they were willing to kind of ship him off back here. So it's good to have him. I think he's in a much better role than he was before. We were relying on him being a provider as a wide player, and that responsibility isn't for everybody. And I think for him, he'll be a guy that'll get some minutes. Hopefully, if guys stay healthy, then he'll be pushing to try to get on the field.
Yeah, and I know I got to talk to you before the window. You guys had a lot of goals, things to set out. You brought in some DPs, you brought in some new players. Two-part question kind of. Do you feel like you guys got accomplished what you wanted to in this window? And also, you had some guys leave, guys like Kieran Sargent, who we now see playing on other MLS teams. What goes into kind of those things when you see players, that maybe don't work here, or maybe he does work, in a new system that you guys are playing, but how do you kind of go juggle those kind of things?
Yeah, I think, players in general, sometimes it's the environment that they're in. It's the belief of a coach giving you an opportunity. Kieran, and I'll use the example of him, came out of college a little early. I think he came here thinking, oh, well, I'm coming out early, so therefore I'm a starter, and didn't start well here at all, and really struggled to establish himself. And sometimes I think you take the player. Doesn't mean he's not a good player. So it's difficult sometimes in the environment you're in. It's his home city, his home club. And then he gets removed, goes to Lexington, does really well under a coach, Terry Boss, who I thought really worked with him individually and spent some time on his defensive side of his game. And now he's getting an opportunity in San Diego. And sometimes just getting removed from that environment gives you an opportunity. I don't think any of us were like, Kieran Sargent can't be a professional soccer player, but at the time he wasn't mature enough, I think, to move into our club. And we have to make decisions. Do we keep trying to develop and hope that hopefully he can, or do we part ways and move on? And sometimes when you're younger players, you don't have a body of work, you move on. And we really hope he does well. I mean, it's nice to see him playing with San Diego and getting some minutes there. So that's great for him. And then in terms of the window, the first part of the question, and probably the bigger question, is I think we had a pretty good window. We're pretty happy with it. There are some things we missed. I think we talked, actually, maybe even off air, you and I, we were hoping to get one more center back in here this window. We had a couple that we thought were really close to the finish line. And unfortunately, in the last few days before the window closed, they fell apart. And that would have been nice, especially with Lucas Halter going down with an injury, to give us a little more depth there. So that piece was disappointing. But overall, when you look at bringing Matty Bogusz, Augustin Bouzad, Hector Herrera's cover, Guilherme, who I jokingly said he's got 7 points here in 4 games. Step pieces, Franco Negri. Our draft picks have done well. Augustine Resch now has got some minutes. I think we're really happy with the group that we've been able to assemble. I think you're seeing a team that can score goals. Right now, we're not keeping them out. So you score 3 on the road, you should get 3 points. And I think that piece now we've got to address. But we're pretty happy with the group we have.
And talking about Guilherme, I mean, he's come in and he's been incredible. I think we all knew he'd be a good player, but he's been an MVP level player. He's come in and been one of those guys like an Evander, a Dryer level type of player already. Is that what you guys expected from him, or are you surpassing your expectations?
We knew he'd be good. I think, there were some people in MLS who were pushing back in the MLS sphere that were saying that, this guy stinks. He's no good. But we did our homework. We followed him. The irony is in the realm that I'm in, as soon as he was signed, I had like 3 CSOs reach out saying, oh, we tried to get him 2 years ago. We tried to get him when he was mid-20s. So a lot of those guys were kind of saying, I think you got a good player. And sometimes that's what happens in these deals. Like a player like Guilherme has been kicking the tires around in MLS and vice versa. And, timing is a lot of it. I think for him, the timing was right for him to be able to come up here and try to challenge himself in MLS. And he's come in with the right attitude. And 7 points in 4 games. It'd be difficult for him to continue that through the rest of the year, but he's been excellent for us. And the nice thing is he's brought in. You can see he's developed a relationship now with Lawrence in Dallas. One of the better passes we've seen probably since a guy Hector Herrera did that in 23. So nice to see him be able to develop a relationship with Lawrence and get Lawrence off the mark here and getting him scoring goals as well.
Yeah, we talked to him after the first game, and he mentioned he'd talked to Neymar, so no pressure, Pat. Just
yeah, exactly.
Got that going. Yeah, but looking at, you talked about Bogusz, Guilherme, all the guys you have, this attacking front. It seems like MLS is becoming that kind of league where you need these big name guys, these big attacking threats. How do you feel like you guys attack compares around MLS? And then with Ezequiel Ponce, are you worried a little bit? He hasn't scored yet this season.
Or we are worried. I mean, and he's probably the first guy to be worried too. I mean, he's disappointed. He hasn't scored any goals. I think he's had some chances though this year, so which is nice. So, like, I think if he doesn't get chances and he's not scoring, well, that's a big problem. And I think you saw that last year. We really didn't give him much service. But if you watch him, it's clear his confidence is down a little bit right now. But again, I think from our perspective, he keeps getting opportunities for us. And I think the biggest thing for us is he's got to still stay the type of game he plays, which is a hard worker, a guy that presses, creates turnovers for us. but in the box, he's got to continue his movement in the box and try to get open, and the goals will come. If we keep setting him up, the goals will come. But the last thing he needs to do is try to press and start becoming a guy that tries to dribble players, and that's just not his game. He's a very simple player, and we need to provide him service. And I think with Guilherme, with Bogusz, playing with wing backs, with an Anali and Dwayne and Aliu, and I think we should be able to create opportunities for him.
Big thing you guys brought in this offseason, you guys brought in a lot of midfielders. I mean, Simaseko came at the end of last season, but he was more of a 2026 piece. Jack's moving back into midfield. Bozak comes in. Hector comes back. And then Artur gets injured in the preseason. So where does he kind of fit in this puzzle now?
Well, I mean, certainly going to come in and be fighting for minutes, and I'll give Chachi Simaseko he's come through now. I think when he came here, he wasn't fit, hadn't played for a while, really struggled with the speed of the league and the physicality of it. And he's slowly growing into this. And I thought he had a really good game against Dallas for us. Dallas, sorry, the game previously against Portland at home. But, I think he's coming into form of what we hoped we'd signed him for. A guy who has Bundesliga experience. And that'll be interesting. But again, like you said, when Artur comes back, he's going to have to fight for minutes. But he's our captain. He's well respected in the locker room, works very hard, and he looks like he may be coming back sooner than we expect, which is great. So we'll see what happens. Ben's got some tough decisions, which is nice. That's my job, to give Ben hard decisions on a lineup.
Yeah, you talked about it a little bit, but you guys really wanted another center back, another defensive piece. We've seen Felipe Andrade come back from his early injury. Yeah. You mentioned Halter bouncing around. Antonio Carlos, Fiachenko have been healthy, knock on wood, so far, outside of their red cards.
It's your red cards, yeah.
Yeah.
Stop taking red cards, guys.
I mean, right, that, injuries, red cards, those things happen during the season. Do you feel like you guys are good at center back right now? And is that something that
we're a little thin.
Look at again in the summer?
Yeah, we're a little thin. I think we'll still be looking for that in the summer to add one more, especially if we play with three now. We went into the season, the off season, knowing we had to get one. We were very happy with Lucas Halter, and saying, okay, we saw him kind of playing with Antonio Carlos and with Eric, and then Felipe Andrade. We figured, okay, those four guys are a pretty good core when you only have two on the field. Well, now, as we went through preseason, now we have three on the field. And then we get an injury to Lucas, we're a little thin. Probably going to have to look at a Franco Negri, who can be a wing back, left back hybrid. He's a little undersized for a left center back, but he can play there. Our draft pick, Augustine Resch, who's done pretty well. So now you're relying on a younger guy or someone that's maybe not perfectly suited to that. If you're down a man, which we will be this next game, Eric will be suspended. So I think the one thing that's driving us nuts is that we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We've had 4 red cards this year. I would say the first one I thought was really harsh. I thought that was something Antonio Carlos steps in the back of Son. I really have a tough time still to this day understanding why that's a red card. But the other 3 are red cards, and we don't have anyone else to blame but ourselves. So we've got to be more disciplined. That's certainly something that Ben's been hammering through in the last couple of weeks here, and it gives us a chance to win games before 11v11. Certainly a lot better than 10v11.
And then outside of the defensive positions, what are some of the other priorities for the summer? And how much does the World Cup and then the inevitable calendar switch of MLS, does that play any effect into how you guys handle the summer?
It certainly has helped. What I would say, it played more into what we did this winter. Most of the players and the guys were coming in, and our mindset is this is almost like an 18-month season, and we get 2 shots at trying to win trophies. So we didn't want to go into, because of the sprint season and 14 games, we didn't want to go have a massive change to our roster in January of 27. We just think that it takes time to adjust. Our group right now is still adjusting. We're trying to find out what's our best lineup, what's the best way we play. Like I mentioned about Guilherme early on with Anala, he's just figuring out what Lawrence is like. Well, imagine these guys play 30 games together next year. We should hit the ground running. We don't want to reintroduce a new starter in those sort of positions. So we still have work to do. But going back to your original question, we need a defender. I think there could be an argument for another wing back, possibly. to get a little bit more. And then we'll have to see how Zeke does up top. If he's not scoring goals, then we've got to find someone. Can Nick Markanich, if he gets an opportunity, can he do it for us? If Andres Linger moves up there, can that happen? Do we shift to Matty Bogusz, or do we have to go out and try to acquire someone? So we have some cap flexibility, which is nice, going into this window, but we certainly have our work cut out for us. So we probably have a couple of starting pieces to add to our group.
So looking a little back, zooming out, looking at the whole Dynamo culture. Big news last week, you guys bring in a new Academy GM, Brian Scales. He's hired to run kind of, everything with the Academy. We've seen a lot of success coming up, right? These guys, these kids look like they're going to be the next generation. Obviously, we got to get there, but just can you talk to us about Brian Scales, his job, and how the Academy is looking?
Yeah, I think, we hired Brian Scales. He's got experience in Charlotte and experience in New England. And he'd actually just, and I'm going blank. I don't know why, because I watched the game yesterday, but Bosnia, the young academy kid from New England, that was, he was part of that to knock out Italy for a third successive World Cup. So, he's got experience. I think our group is really close to pushing through guys. Matthew Arana had a wonderful preseason. He ended last year with the second team, and it just started kind of growing exponentially. And he's a guy that Ben likes a lot. I can see him getting minutes this year. Will he be a starter and a regular this year? I mean, I doubt it. But at the same token, at 15 years old, it's nice to see these guys breaking through. And we have a few others that will be signed as second team contracts with the second team. But we talked about this a little bit before. 2 years ago, this is now our third year of this, where we pivoted in the second team, where we just said, okay, we're going to just start playing our top academy kids in that MLS Next Pro level. And then we're going to supplement foreign guys that don't block these players in positions. We didn't have we're not deep at center back. So Mikel was the first kind of experiment there from Brazil. And that worked really well for us. And so that's where we're trying to put the puzzle together every offseason with the second team. And we have a lot of young kids that I think are going to get close. And we should be in a city like this. We should be producing players that are playing for our first team. So we've got to keep pushing through, and we got to give these guys opportunities. And Matthew Arana, I thought in preseason was outstanding for us. It helps Hector Herrera's put his arm around him and kind of looks after the kid. And it's a pretty good guy to have and have to look up to. So I think I'm excited about our academy space.
And the second team has started so well this year, 4-0, no goals conceded. What are some of the players that have impressed you the most in that team so far? And with Jeremy Hurdle, he's the interim right now. Is he looking like the guy?
Oh, there we go. I've already heard this here from the GM, Nick Kovas, talking about it and everything. He's 4-0. I keep joking with Jeremy every time he wins. I go, hey, no MLS or no MLS Next Pro head coach has ever started 4-0 and not made the playoffs. So no pressure, but keep it going. Keep it going. No, he's done a great job. I'll talk about Jeremy and then we'll go on the players, but Jeremy's done a great job. He's a guy we brought in to be in our academy. He's been patient, worked hard. He's showing what he can do on the field. He became the assistant coach last year to Marcelo Santos, who's now been promoted to the first team. And I like the cycle that we've had here. We've Adine Osman-Basic, who was a kid who was at our U18, was assistant coach for a year with Ben, and then is often is actually now the assistant coach of Schalke, and they're about to get promoted to the Bundesliga. So it's nice that we've been able to provide this pathway. Kenny Bundy's another guy who was the head coach previously with HC2. So it's nice to have the pathway, not just for the players, but also for our staff as well to try to progress. Certainly something that we try to work on here. And I'm actually pretty proud of that with our group. Now the players, Matteo Di Morelli's done well for us. Samir Mohammed. These are guys that are right on the cusp of first team and have spent most of the preseason with our first team, but have gone back down and done well for us. The surprising thing for our three guys in the center backs, we're playing similar style in the back, is Isaac, and if I say his last name, I'll blow it, so I'm not going to say it, but he's had a really good start. Daniel Barrett on the right side, and then between them is actually Gavin Wolf, Josh Wolf's son, left-footed, has all three of them have been outstanding this preseason. Been able to move the ball, have been defensively very sound. Obviously, no goals against, so that's been great. We had a draft pick, Gilberto Rivera, an American kid from San Jose State, has been nice, kind of the glue in there. And then our goalkeeper, who we've been really proud of last year, Pedro Cruz, had a great season last year. I think it was runner-up to goalkeeper of the year, and he started off where he left off last year. So we're pretty talented down there, but we're young. Like, we're kids. We're still kids, and these guys are all learning week in, week out. But I'll give Jeremy a lot of credit to keep these guys moving forward in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think, league-wide in MLS, we've seen kids everywhere. It feels like teenagers playing all across the league. This youth movement. How do you kind of balance that, right? They're still kids. They're kids. They're going to make mistakes. They're young players, but how do you balance and know when they're ready for that next step? Like we saw Arana at 15 make that next step. How do you kind of judge that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's important to keep eyes on them. I mean, for example, I was down at GA Cup this weekend watching our 15s and 16s play. I think it's important that I think we're really fortunate with our head coach and Ben Olsen, in the sense that he's comfortable calling these 15 and 14, 15, 16-year-old kids to come up and train with the first team. Now, the first team guys sometimes will get frustrated because they're learning on the fly. But at the same token, I think it's important to get exposure to this. And even if it's one or two sessions, that now they go back and say, okay, that's the level I've got to strive for. I got to play it a little faster. I've got to make decisions. That's really important. And I think we've done a good job, not a great job, but a good job of getting to where we're at now. But we still have another 2 to 3 steps to go where we're producing these players every year. And you're like, okay, these guys are now, they're not just guys that are fringe players, but they're guys that are starting and are starting 11. And it'll be twofold. It'll help us financially in terms of going to recruit these other players. You don't have to go spend millions of dollars to bring guys in. You have them in-house. And the reality is we will be in the selling business, and these kids will hopefully do really well for the first team for, a short period of time, and then they'll get the opportunity to go play in some of the top leagues in the world. I mean, that's our goal. And ultimately, I think the city will be able to get behind those kids, and we're excited about the future.
And let's talk about the short-term success for the rest of this season. Obviously the playoffs are always the goal. How do you think we stack up with some of the best teams in the West? The Vancouvers and
the West is good this year, right? I think offensively, I really like our group. And again, a lot of it's we got to get Ponce going, to get him going. And then I really I love our group. Defensively, we got to get a little stronger, and we may need one or two more guys. So certainly one center back, I think, to solidify that. But I think we'll be competitive right now to keep staying in it. And I think when I say stay in it, we should be certainly I'd say in the midst of the playoff pack at midseason. If we can do that by the World Cup break, I really fancy our chances down the stretch. I think the guys will know each other. We can add one or two key pieces. We can make a really good run here at the end of the year. So while we didn't get the center back across, I still like our group. I still think we're clearly a playoff team, and there are some good teams early. LAFC is a good team, but I thought with the 11v11, we went toe to toe with them until we got a guy sent off. Vancouver's a good team. San Diego's a good team. We'll have to go see how we match up. But so far, the teams that we played have been stay 11v11. I think we've competed with all four of them.
Yeah, Pat, just looking ahead with Seattle coming to town this weekend, it was, we got to thinking, and you've been around Columbus and seen what they do, kind of these model teams, right, of MLS. Yeah. Seattle's, they've been there, do that every year. Columbus, they seem like they're there every year. How do you guys, kind of look at these other teams, look at teams around MLS, especially with the complex rules that this league has, and kind of, take things and learn things from those other teams for future, in building?
Yeah, I think that's why last year was probably so disappointing for us, because I felt like we were in the right direction in 23 and 24, and obviously made a semifinal in 23, won or had the most points in club history in 24, and then had a drop off last year. So I think that's what's a little frustrating, because I do believe we have the core here that can stay solid, and I think this year we're definitely going to be a playoff team. I'm excited about where we go. And I think that'll lead into the next year. And to your point, we want to be one of those teams. We want to be people go, oh, Houston, yeah, they're always in the playoffs. I think that's our goal, to be a team that then can go win some trophies. And if you are there, Seattle's a great example of a team that's always kind of there making the playoffs. It gives them every year, it gives them a chance to go win a trophy. And the belief in their group is that they'll win. They have a certain style they want to win and how they play, but they're comfortable winning numerous ways. Right now, we're still learning how to be a consistent winning team this year with our group. I think you'll see us win a lot of games, high scoring games, which is a little exciting, but it's also, for me, being a goalkeeper, freaks me out, but that's okay. We'll deal with it. But I think it'll be fun for our group, and I can see us being really successful this year. And I'm excited for Ben, the coaching staff too. I think they look down the bench and they look like okay, we've got some options coming off the bench to help us. Our group's it's going to be a fun team to watch this year.
Let's talk the World Cup a little bit. We got two players here in Houston that are kind of on the bubble of the World Cup roster. Is Jack McGlynn. He's been in and out of the national team for a little bit now. And then Andrej Linger as well. Czech Republic just got into the World Cup. He's been in and out as well of their national team, both kind of on the outside looking in. How much would that mean, getting any of those players into the World Cup teams? And then how much does the World Cup in general just mean for MLS in Houston?
Yeah, the player part would be fantastic, and more so, I think everybody in the locker room would just be really happy for these guys. I mean, it's a massive opportunity, and there's not too many guys in our locker room. I'm trying to think. Hector's the only one that comes to the top of my mind that's played in a World Cup and numerous World Cups. I never got to play in one, so I can only imagine what it's like. I think we'd all be really happy for those guys, and they've worked really hard to get the opportunity. So we'll see what happens. Linger, by the way, this morning was beaming ear to ear. I've never seen him smile so much in my life. It was a little nauseating, to be honest. He was totally oblivious that there's Eric Shevchenko, who was devastated, Denmark not making it, and Poland, there's Matty Bogusz saying, I could have been an Andres Linger. I could have been on the fringe getting in there too for Poland. So, there's no rest here. Guys don't mind poking each other a little bit, but yeah, it'd be nice for the club, and it'd be great for the players. Secondly, I think, it's interesting. It's for us in the city to have it here. The buzz, I think, is fantastic. The question is, how do we capitalize on that? And I know this city has a million plus soccer fans. This is not a city where you have to, you guys know, this is your podcast. This is, and you guys are a Dynamo podcast, but you have Dynamo fans. Like, we have to convince soccer fans to say, hey, be a Dynamo fan, and here's why. We're fun to watch. We're attacking. You get to meet these guys. These guys will sign autographs after the game. We're the one sport where you actually have interactions with these guys in the city. That's where I think, we have our work cut out for us. And this is a great opportunity for us to get our players out in the community. There's a ton of events that are going to take place, but get our players out there. So fans are like, oh, that's Matty Bogusz. Oh, Polish guy that speaks Spanish and Polish and English. And you're like, oh, okay, interesting. Here's Guilherme scrambling with his English, trying to connect with these guys. It's important for us as a club to get out there. And I do think this club, and this is where it kind of goes back. Sorry, guys, I'm rambling. This is, you know me well enough. This is me. But when I talk about the academy, as much as the academy is important for us from a roster, and I talk mostly about the roster piece, it's important for them to be able to connect. Like, people should be sitting in the stands going, Matthew Arana, he played against my kid, when they were 12 years old. I remember watching that kid, and he was amazing at 12. No surprise here that he's 18 and he's one of our best players. Like, that's when I think this thing will get humming. And we were fortunate, and I can say it because when I came here, now we did it the hard way. We weren't Houstonians, but we all went out in the community. We were in the community left, right, and center. I was at supermarket signing autographs, reading a book in the afternoon, doing a golf tournament. But everybody was doing that. We had 24 guys. That's all we did. We were promoting the game, and there was a connection with the fans. Felt like, I know these guys. They're part of they're a community team. And I think that's the advantage we have. And it's something we've got to get better at and get back to, is that we've got to be the community team. That sports, not just sports, like soccer fans, but sports fans go, yeah, the Dynamo, because I've met that guy at a supermarket. He helped me pick a gallon of milk off the back because I didn't want to get the ones in the front because they were sour. Like those are the moments that I think we can turn these people into Dynamo fans. And not the sour milk story. There could be better ones than that. That was a bad one. But regardless, I think it's really important. Like, we are out there, and I think this is an excellent opportunity in the next, what is it now, 65 days or something to the World Cup. So not only leading into these 65 days, but also during those 40 some odd days that we have the World Cup here, it's really important for our guys to get out in the community and be a part of this, and people to go, all right, this is our professional team, and let's go support them.
Yeah, big summer soccer. Canada also involved. Yeah. I know you'll be rooting secretly, right? There's no Canadians around to help you, right?
It's funny, we were going through this, the United Nations, all these guys we have in our club, and then I was like, hang on, where are the Canadians? I gotta go find a Canadian.
I was gonna say, who's the guy that signs these players?
Yeah, I know. What am I doing? I just
see Tyler Pasterbeck. I missed that guy.
Yeah, that's right. There's someone that can dump the puck in the corner and just take out the defenseman and stuff like that.
Alfonso Davies can play wing back if you need a guy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
he's probably pretty cheap. He is Houston Dynamo FC president of soccer, Pat Onstad. Pat, we always appreciate the time. Number of topics today, and we really appreciate you sitting down with us, talking, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, guys, and thanks for the support, and thanks for keep pushing this sport. It's an awesome game, and our stadium is fun. It's fun to go watch, and this is a group I can say with a straight face, this is a fun group to watch this year. So come out and have a look.
Thanks, Pat. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.